Around the world, the most marginalized women's voices are those that are not heard by the authorities when they're planning programs for social programs for their own populations.
Women's unpaid work at home, her sustenance of the family, her rearing of children, these are not recognized in macro policy.
As far as we are not giving importance to women and their living conditions, how a family or a society or a country can be brought up in a better way?
Women form half of India's population and make enormous contribution to its economy. Yet, they lag behind in almost all socio-economic indicators. Though there have been several government schemes and policies for the welfare of women, none of them have a measurable impact in terms of gender. Gender-responsive budgeting is an initiative to ensure that the entire budgeting process is carried out through a gender perspective in order to bring gender equality and women's empowerment.
Gender-responsive budgeting is a very important tool that UN Women uses to work with governments to ensure that planning takes into account the special needs of women. Around the world, UN Women since 2011 has worked with 65 different countries to incorporate gender-responsive budgeting. Of the 65 countries, 25 of those countries have adopted gender-based policies and plannings in their national development plans. We think it's important because it enables the countries and the leaders of the country to see how their allocations of public funds will contribute to gender equality and women's empowerment.
I think one important point about gender-responsive budgeting, especially the way it was done in India, is that one hoped that it would create a consciousness amongst policymakers. We started with the production of a gender budget statement. We moved on to creating gender budget cells in 53 ministries and departments, which is very important because after all, when we are saying that all ministries should do gender responsive budgeting, you need some institutional mechanism, some focal point, some cell within these ministries to sort of spearhead the work on gender. So again, that's a good thing.
The Sundarbans, a cluster of more than 100 islands situated in West Bengal, offers numerous problems to the women living here in terms of geographical challenges, health, livelihood, and all the basic amenities. All of these pushing them into debts and poverty.
The Department of Science and Technology has been implementing a scheme called Science and Technology for Women, and with a basic focus of providing technological input to women in the rural areas.
The Vivekanand Institute of Biotechnology in Sundarbans has been working for the people at grassroots level through relevant science and technology interventions. Along with the Ministry of Science and Technology's Seed Division, the institute has been training the local women in banana tissue culture.
When we transfer technology to women, a hand-holding would be required, and absorption of technology may probably require a different technique, and hence there is a need for special gender measures to be taken. In this case, what was conceptualized is a women technology park. The tissue culture experiment which was done in Sundarbans is a part of the women technology park set up at Sagar Islands.
The Women's Technology Park was a place for the rural women to gain inputs on technologies that help in upgrading their skills and enhancing their income.
The women have learnt a technique called tissue culture, which is a high-end technology, and these are the women who are not very scientifically qualified, but they have done it. The hardening is done by rural women who are absolutely uneducated, and they have taken it up, and they have also learned the business of selling these plant lips. So I think it's a win-win situation for all the groups, the rural women, the scientists who develop the technology, the women who are selling it, and also the farmers who are producing the bananas.
Nagaland, a state where agriculture is the major economic mainstay, has over 50% women farmers. Despite this, they have little access to land and resources, are seldom seen as farmers, and do not benefit from any government schemes or subsidies. Atma, or Agricultural Management Technology Agency, is a GRB initiative to disseminate agricultural activities for sustainable agricultural development.
Focused area of Atma is that it promotes gender mainstreaming in agriculture. 30% of the funds of this scheme have to go to women farmers. We have a lot of committees, decision-making bodies at the block level, at the district level, at the state level. The scheme provides for involvement of women in every such decision-making body.
The outcome of Atma is already visible in the villages of Mokokchung, where agricultural extension programs are happening in full swing, with women leading the way.
Iba program achanga tachang sakang ubaji an temeses agatsa noklanga. Servo ki tongwa ruba no ki training kan agatsa. Dali. Sang dong maru dang ja udang nandak nongbo phone achanga aje kandik sedapa hanoki yamaji sang dasbaji udang lamangji sayoi inyaksbaji anabaluzabai.
By way of having more women farmer friends, by way of having women in their advisory committees at the block district level, by way of women attending more of village-based trainings, demonstrations, farm schools. So we actually see a change happening, with the launch of this Atma scheme. And we see that the policy intervention which we had made at the Government of India level, we see it happening in the states and field area.
Kerala, the only 100% literate state in India, is entrapped in the old patriarchal system, which manifests itself in violence against women, declining land rights for women, and their poor employment profile.
So based on a lot of research which had come, when the new government came in power in 2006, just on the eve of the 11th plan, we had a big program to address the social and economic issues facing women.
In Kerala, we see a very purposive kind of planning in which a policy maker actually sits and reflects on how can we address women's needs in sectors like infrastructure, which are not traditionally seen as gender related.
Most rural women in Kerala are compelled to travel long distances every day to reach their workplace.
Those women who travel from outside the city, especially from long distances, either they have to stay there alone or with their family, because they will be having small children, or everybody is not single. So a basic thing is to give them a better, safe and affordable accommodation in the nearest area where they are being employed. So this is the basic idea by which a planning board of Kerala came to the field of constructing such building in Kerala.
The Kerala Planning Board's innovative housing scheme for working women involved constructing apartments close to their workplace, thereby ensuring them a safe and convenient stay.
ഇത് കിട്ടിയത് കൊണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ വേറുള്ള ഇത്ര ദൂരത്തുനിന്ന് വന്ന് ജോലി ചെയ്ത് ജീവിക്കുന്നവർക്ക് ഇവിടെ വീട് വാടകയ്ക്ക് എടുത്ത് താമസിക്കാനുള്ള കപ്പാസിറ്റി ഇല്ല. കാര്യം ഇവിടെ 8,000-7,000 രൂപ വാടക കൊടുക്കണം. ഇവിടെ ആകുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് 600 രൂപയെ വാടകയുള്ളായിരുന്നു. 600 രൂപ കിട്ടുന്ന ശമ്പളം കൊണ്ട് വാടകയെല്ലാം കൊടുത്ത് സുഖമായിട്ട് ജീവിക്കാം.
A lot of statistics says that the domestic violence and issues related to public places are increasing day by day.
Whenever a woman is subjected to violence, maybe physical or mental, they approach the doctor. Most often the doctors do not understand that particular lady is a victim of violence. So such cases are neglected just like any other medical legal cases. When we thought of the gender budgeting, we thought of having some centers in our institutions to cater the gender issues, especially those involved in the domestic violence.
The Bhumika counselling centres were started at all district headquarter hospitals by the Government of Kerala as a part of its GRB initiative to rescue and support the women survivors of domestic violence.
A beneficiary who are coming to the cell, they will get all the facilities, that is assistance of a police, assistance of an advocate, and if they want any social securities like accommodation and all this, all the services will get under this one roof.
Well, compare the other state of India, Kerala got very high score in education, health and other social living conditions and standard. But in the case of employability, why we are coming to that point, it's little bit lower when compared to men.
ഇത്രയും കൂടെ ഒരു 14 years ഞാൻ വീട്ടിൽ ഹൗസ് വൈഫായിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തതിന് ശേഷം മനസ്സിലൊരു ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ജോലി എടുക്കണം. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്റ്റെപ്പ് വെക്കാൻ ഭയങ്കര പേടിയായിരുന്നു.
As a part of GRB, the Women's Development Corporation of Kerala started REACH, a professional grooming academy to impart women and girls employability training in various sectors through spoken English classes, computer operations and several other social skills.
ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ട് ഉള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് മാത്രമാണ് എനിക്ക് അവിടെ പോകാനും ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആ ഒരു നെഗറ്റീവ്സ് എല്ലാം പോസിറ്റീവാക്കി എടുക്കാനും ആ ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡിലേക്ക് ശരിക്കും വന്നത്. ഇതുവരെ എപ്പോഴും ഇവിടെ കോളേജിൽ പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ അച്ഛൻ്റെ അണ്ടറിൽ കല്യാണം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഹസ്ബൻഡ് ഇതിൽ എപ്പോഴും നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് എന്ത് വാങ്ങണമെങ്കിലും സ്വന്തമായിട്ട് ഏൺ ചെയ്ത് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയ മണി എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അത് ഭയങ്കര ഡിഫറെൻ്റ് ആണ്.
Slowly, with great counseling and gender budgeting exercises of the government, plus training programs organized by the Department of Women and Child, there has been some triggering of thought at all levels regarding what should be done for women.
Gender responsive budget allocation coupled with some policy directives, coupled with a procedure for involvement of women at the grassroots level, at the cutting edge level, can really bring about change.
Gender budgeting is now come to be accepted as a way of integrating the needs of women into budgeting, which is a very important component of macro policy.
Gender responsive budgeting goes a long way towards ensuring that policies will be appropriate for meeting women's needs and empowering women, but much work needs to be done across all sectors.
I think we have to come out and peg the GRB work in the larger macroeconomic framework. Unless and until the larger macroeconomic framework is engendered, I think GRB alone in a limited approach of merely allocating, tracking and interrogating expenditure will not suffice. And therefore our approach has to be much broader to engender the larger macroeconomic framework.